Now, from a perspective of what the soul is, remember I've said that that God created our soul. Remember our soul, of which you are one half. So you are not a complete soul. You are one half of a soul right now in this form. Right? So God created the complete soul. The complete soul is different to the discussion of the two halves. Do you understand? You at the moment, many of you believe yourself to be an individual, yes? But you're not. You are one half of an individual. And sometime down the track, you will come to feel that emotionally. And at some point down the track, you will feel that so strongly emotionally that the two of you, whoever the other half is, will combine. And you will become that one soul again.
Can we do that in this lifetime?
Yes, totally. God created all of these things I'm talking about to be done now, not later.
And we will, and people are?
And no one is right now, no. But there are people.
One person.
Sorry?
How do you morph into one person? Is that what you're talking about?
No. See, this gets to what is the soul. What is this? What is this thing? Right? That is not a person. What we see as a person is a half of one of those. Right? There's a lot of confusion about this.
So are you saying that we've got the possibility or to come together in this lifetime with the other half of our soul? We're not talking soulmate, twin flame, we're talking the essence of ourselves. Is that what you're saying?
Now, the word soulmate and the word twin flame are all just talking about exactly the same thing. And that is the fact that God...
That's the half of the soul.
But only when you have the power to do so. And all of us are just growing in this power, right? So eventually you'll get to the stage in your own life where you'll no longer see yourself as this, and rather you'll see yourself as this, and as half of that all combined, and you will actually, in your own life sometime in the future, be able to manifest an expression of yourself through lots of different entities, through lots of different what appear to be entities. And you'll be able to do that in the future. This is your soul's capacity for growth. Now, at the moment, you can't do that, right? But you will be able to do that. If you grow in divine love, you will be able to do those things.
So you're saying the complete soul can then manifest in that way?
Yep. The complete soul, not the two halves.
Yeah.
The complete soul can manifest in this way that you can have multiple bodies. You can have hundreds of thousands of emotional conversations at the same time. And feel every one of them.
And you have to have met your soulmate firstly.
You have to have gone through this process of growth, which is growth in divine love. And we'll talk about what the soul's process is as a part of this discussion. But you have to go through that process to get to that capacity. But you can get to that. Every single one of you has been created with the potential of that capacity. It's just a matter of you coming to understand divine truth in the end. You follow me? Not your truth, but God's truth. It's only understanding that. So this soul is an entity in its own right, of which you are one half. When I say you, I'm not talking about your body, and I'm not talking about your spirit body. This body that you have and the spirit body you have are appendages or attributes of your soul, of your half of the soul. Remember, I've said that the two bodies are connected to these two halves of the soul, right? So here's our spirit body, here's our physical body. Right? And there's a connection point between them. Right? And this is the soul. Right? This is the real you. This bit. We want to know what that bit is, right? We don't want to worry about these bits anymore. You know how many of you worry about what you're going to eat today because it's got to be healthy and you've got to take the right vitamins and all that. You don't want to have to worry about all that, sure. You want it just to happen all nice and seamlessly, don't you? In the end? Yeah, well, when you connect with this bit of you, everything will. happen all nice and seamlessly. It will just run perfectly, right? It's because we're not connecting that bit that we're thinking we're these bits. And there are many spirits who are here today in this room who are thinking that they are their spirit body. They call that the soul. They actually think that that is their soul. But they don't understand that's not their soul either. Their soul they can't actually see. And all of these truths that God gives you, you will come to see your soul, not with these eyes, because these eyes are just the physical body's eyes, right? But you will see your soul through your expression of your soul, which is through your emotions and your passions and your desires and your longings and your intentions. That's how you'll see your soul.
So it is within us. It's not something outside us.
It actually encompasses you. So you could think of it like this. I've drawn it like that, right? But the truth is, here is your physical body, right? Here is your spirit body on top of it, right? And your soul is actually surrounding those things, right? That's how it is conceptual, if you can think of it conceptually. And the soul, this thing, this round thing, is the real you. And these bodies are just appendages. Like your arm is an appendage of your body, this body is an appendage of your soul.
So it's like an etheric body.
The etheric body is the spirit body, and the physical body is just of different energy form, denser energy, but they are all just a part of the emanation or the creation of your soul. When I say the creation of your soul, obviously it's another person's two souls that get together, the two halves get together, through the sex act create the two bodies, but the soul itself is God's creation. So this part of you is the real you, this bit. That's the real you. And as an extension of that, you need to understand that really that is the real you, of which that is a half. You follow me?
Yeah. We've been taught we're all one whole person.
I know.
I have people say, oh, my other half. I'm going, there's no other half. It's just one.
How many of you don't want there to be another half? Honest, be honest. A lot of people don't want there to be another half.
Stirring stuff.
There's also a hope in that too, though.
Sorry?
There's also a hope that there is another half.
Well, why on the earth do you enter a relationship for? Because there's a soul longing inside of you to connect with another sex. There's a soul longing inside of you to connect with another half. There is. It's inbuilt inside of you.
So do you have to feel that incompleteness and that longing fully before?
The truth is, if you're feeling complete, then there's an emotion in you that you're yet to release. So you can actually be complete as a half of a soul in terms of the feeling complete, and usually that is when you have the best relationship with your soulmate. If they also are wanting to feel complete as well. So it's not about completing the other person. This is just how God designed you. The real you is that, and what you are right now is that, which is the half of the real you. That's just the truth. How you deal with that truth, it's up to you. You could say, I don't want to know the other half of the real me. I want to stay away from him or her. I don't want some mongrel man being involved in my life. And what does that tell me? That I've got an emotion inside of myself, right? That I need to release. Do you think you're going to be at one with God having a thought like that?
No.
Obviously not, because it comes from a feeling of hurt inside, right? So many of us feel resistive to the idea of there being one half of us out there somewhere, and only one half, because we then feel like, well, where's my choice then? It's all gone. It's this that's been given the choice. It's this that's been given the choice. Remember I said the soul has free will. That is the soul, not you. You're a half of one. It's the two of you together that creates the full one that has the free will.
So that's another physical being.
Well, at the moment for yourself, yeah. But it doesn't have to be a physical being. So for all the spirits in the room, They're actually, many of them have passed hundreds of years ago, and they would have another spirit who's actually their soulmate half. Yeah.
They do?
Yeah. And yes, there is sex in the spirit world too.
There is?
Yeah.
Well, I have sex in the spirit world in my dreams, but is that fair dinkum? That the spirits can...
Yes, that's why I answered your question before you asked it.
Yeah, don't be a smart ass.
I like being a smart ass sometimes.
No.
Yeah.
They are, they do.
The truth is that the sexual expression is an expression of the soul. It's not an expression of the bodies. Right? It is an expression of the soul. Right? So the soul has been created to have sexual relation. Right? That's what this whole soulmate thing's all about. It's about sex, really, in the end.
So for spirits to have sex, this is getting a bit involved. Is it through an energy experience more than what you would call a physical experience?
Yes, but to them, like energy and physical are the same thing.
So energetically, I mean, if you want to create an orgasm or whatever, you could do that on a... Do spirits... Is that how they work?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I've had sex with a ghost, so to speak, you know, and physically felt it, everything. It was just like it was a real experience, but it wasn't because there was, and it was it was quite a bizarre experience to go through, and it actually brought up a bit of guilt, because I'm thinking, oh my God, you know, what kind of person am I? Attracting what I thought was a bad spirit in order to have sex with me.
Well, it may have been too, by the way.
Well,
there are many spirits in the spirit world who would like to have sex with people on earth still.
So when you're working with spirits, I mean, I'm a medium, okay? I've let that go because I just wasn't quite sure what I was attracting to myself. So in that case where I was attracting a sexual spirit partner, does that mean that then, and maybe it was not of the purest of kind, does that then reflect on me and saying that was a state that I was in at that time?
Remember, everything happens through the law of attraction. Right? So what was the emotion that you felt after the experience? Wasn't it one of guilt?
Well, then the trick was pretty good.
There was an emotion you felt.
Actually, it was pretty good. But the emotion I did feel was just starting off in a so-called spiritual journey where I was just starting to learn about things like this in this lifetime. I suppose the guilt I was feeling was coming from other people saying, well, you must be in a dark place to be bringing in a spirit. And so basically then I went into the poor me saying, well, what am I doing? I must be a dark person attracting. And so because I was very raw and very new and very gullible and very trusting of what people were telling me, I think probably I felt, well, you'll probably say no, it's something that's been brought up in me, that's a memory. But for me at that time I thought, oh, I'm dealing with the dark spirits because I didn't know any different. And that's what I felt was... Well,
do you mind if I tell you the truth?
You can tell me the whole truth and nothing but the truth. I'm sure you're going to.
So help me God.
I'm a divine spark of God. Give it to me.
The truth is that a spirit who would want to have sex with a person on earth without them knowing what's going on is not going to be in very good shape emotionally. So the emotional condition of the spirit in that state is not going to be that good. There are many spirits who desire to have sex with people on earth because they're not having sexual experiences in the spirit world, because they don't think they're able to. Or they're in a state where there are the majority of the same sex with them because of the injuries, and so they can't interrelate with anyone of the opposite sex. So many spirits look for people on earth to have sexual relationships with as a result of that. And if a person is open to that emotionally, then of course you can encourage that sexual relationship. What it triggered inside of you were not emotions relating to sex actually. They were relating to guilt and shame and other issues that were being triggered inside of you that you didn't allow yourself to experience at the time. So at the time, the feeling was like you were feeling great about the sexual activity, but there was also some other feelings associated with it that you buried. And if you allow yourself to go back to that experience, you'll remember those other feelings. And they are the feelings that the law of attraction is triggering in you to release. The key is to understand that no spirit who's in a good condition will want to do something to you that you're not conscious of what they're doing. You follow me? Just like you wouldn't want to do something with someone else if they weren't conscious of what you were doing, right? That's what love would do, right?
First sphere, probably.
It'll be a first sphere spirit who's probably missed out on some sexual experiences, and so they're wanting to act out some of those sexual experiences on Earth. And now, I'm not judging them or yourself, right? Because the law of attraction brought you the experience to trigger the emotion that you at the time actually shut down. And the key is to go back to that event now and let yourself open up that emotion. You follow me? Because that's what the law of attraction was bringing. Now, in the end, this spirit might even be a soulmate who's passed and they feel really attracted to you. Like, it could be that. But in the end, they are still in a bad condition if they've done it without you knowing what's going on or without you being aware of what's going on. So it doesn't really matter who they are. What matters is that I deal with the emotion that I need to work through about that, right? And you'll find in your case it will be related to some childhood experiences, right? Things that you don't want to face there. But the reason why I answered your question about yes, there is sex in the spirit world is because in the end, this union is a sexual union, right? And look, be honest, isn't sex one of the best things that you enjoy?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So do you think that somehow that's all just going to disappear as soon as you pass? Honestly. Why would you think that? It's because everyone's told you that sex isn't holy, and sex isn't spiritual, and sex isn't this, and sex isn't that, right? Sex is all lustful and dirty and all those kind of things, right? And because of that, you believe that, and so you believe that all these spiritual things can't, it doesn't work that way. Sex is inbuilt inside of your soul. This whole union is a sexual union.
So where did the androgynous ones come from?
The androgynous ones? There are no androgynous ones.
Oh, that's interesting.
They actually feel they're androgynous because they do not want to cope with their own emotions that cause them to want to feel that way. So all of you at the moment, there are some of you here at the moment who don't want to have sex in the sense that you feel that the sexual expression is not something that you're attracted to. And I need to say to you that if that's the case, there are some very fundamental injuries, emotional injuries, inside of you. Now, if you passed into the spirit world, you would not want to have sexual experiences there either. And you may eventually call yourself an androgynous one, right? But just because I call myself something, it doesn't mean from God's perspective that that's what I am, right? God created all human souls in this form. And the split happens for all. All people who are incarnated go through that split. So every single one of you have a soulmate, and you've got no choice about it.
You make babies in the spirit world?
No.
God created all.
Far away.
If I'm longing to find my soulmate and have developed characteristics about myself, does that then mean that my soulmate half will be longing to find their soulmate and have developed particular characteristics that will match? Or is it about the soul, the journey? Is it about...
Well, there's no or, it's probably an and for a start. Yes, it is about the journey, and it is about the fact that the soulmate halves finish up attracting themselves to each other, right? So there's a lot I would want to say about soulmates, but I want to do a whole discussion on soulmates. Is that all right? Because many people have lots of questions about soulmates, and there are so many things about soulmates that are misconceptions. One of them being that you meet each other and all of a sudden everything's fine. That's often a misconception. But there are other ones as well, like misconceptions about what a soulmate really is, that you can have many soulmates and all these kind of things. And I would like to answer all of them specifically as a separate discussion if I can. Would that be all right?
Today?
October.
How much do I have to give? Because no, not today. It'll be another time. I know a lot of you are interested in the subject, but to be honest with you, until you're connecting completely emotionally, it is really pointless you being interested in that subject. And the reason why is because your soulmate is going to trigger you emotionally so much that if you meet them and you're not willing to deal with your emotions, you are going to want to run away from them, right? And what's the point of you being introduced and then running away from each other, right? You may as well get yourself firstly in a state of humility where you can actually feel all of your own emotions, right? And once you're in that state, then you're ready to meet this other person who's going to trigger you full on no matter what state they're in, right? So let yourself go through that process, right? Let yourself understand that. So when we talk about the soulmate issue, I'd really, really want to do that because it's a very fascinating subject for me as well. And there's lots and lots of things I'd like to say about soulmates and ways to work through these emotions with your soulmate and so forth. But it's important, firstly, that you understand your half. In fact, understand yourself, what you actually are, what part of you is your soul. Right? Get that moving along, progressing, growing spiritually. Right? Once all that happens, you will automatically attract your soulmate into your life, and when you do, you're going to wish that you hadn't, probably. Well, because for many of you, it is going to open up some huge injuries inside about masculinity or femininity, and you'll need to work through some very big emotions when you meet your soulmate. There's a part of your soul, you can see that at the moment, this half of the soul is connected to this body and is connected to this body, right? But it doesn't feel a strong connection to the other half of itself. There is a connection between the two halves all the time, by the way. But it doesn't feel that connection very strongly. Firstly, because of a lack of awareness, but also because of emotional injuries that exist in the two halves that make them oppose each other. You follow me? So it's like having two norths of a magnet being shoved together. What happens? They just get pushed apart. When we have incompatible emotional injuries, that's what happens. We push apart relationship doing that. Compatible emotional injuries cause us to draw together like a north and a south of a magnet, right? Incompatible emotional injuries cause us to separate. Now, why not firstly focus on getting yourself to the point where you no longer have any incompatible injuries with your soulmate? See, once you do that, no matter what your soulmate chooses to do, no matter how they choose to experience whatever's going on within themselves, you'll be able to work through your own emotions. You've got the truth in you. You'll be able to work through your own emotions. And they will be drawn to you, and they won't even be able to help themselves. Right?
Yeah, but will you want to be with them?
Of course. But would it be a need? Would it be a desire or would it be a need? It'll be a desire but not a need. Can you understand that? As soon as you have a need for your soulmate, how many feel you need your soulmate? If you need your soulmate, hardly any of you have been honest with that question. Where's the honesty gone? How many of you feel like you need a soulmate, like you need to know who your soulmate is?
Or just someone?
You need to know, yeah, just someone. How many do you need? Still not being honest with them. Right? What happens is that... Sorry?
I desire to know, but I don't need.
Yeah. And at the moment, actually, the truth is that you don't want to know who your soulmate is.
Yeah, probably not.
And the reason why for yourself is that there's some emotional injuries about men that are unhealed. And so what's happening?
You think you work through it, but it's still there.
Yeah, and so when you think about, just all of you ladies for a minute at the moment, and I'm picking on ladies here because there will, well, the majority, there's probably 2/3 of ladies, but also because One injury that's a multi-generational injury for women is the issue of vulnerability. Most of you will recognise that in yourself. Vulnerability towards the male dominating you. Right? How many of you ladies feel like you're sick and tired of men dominating you? Right? It's quite a lot, right? Now that emotion is an injury towards the masculine. It actually is also an injury towards God, because God's also got masculine qualities. How many of you men feel that women dominate you? Some. How many of you men feel like you can dominate a woman? No one being honest there either. So they are injuries, right, that we have towards the masculine and feminine. Every injury that we have towards the masculine and feminine causes a repulsion of our soulmate. You understand? It pushes our soulmate away. Right? And the only way that we're going to attract our soulmate is by working through those injuries. When we work through our injuries, our soulmate will be attracted to us. So if we're in a relationship right now, we're in a relationship to work through those injuries. You follow me? The law of attraction is working perfectly. You're in a relationship right now so that you can work through these injuries. And you might find out the relationship you have right now is with your soulmate. But you won't know until that part of your soul opens up. Right? Now, if I'm a woman and I have a deep anger towards men about men controlling and being vulnerable to men, do you think the soulmate part of my soul is going to open up while that emotion is within me? It's not, is it? If I'm a man and I feel like I can dominate a woman, do you think the soulmate part of my soul is going to open up? No. If I'm a man and I think that a woman can dominate me, or I feel like I'm to blame for all the things that men have done that are bastards in the world, and I feel that in my soul, do you think that injury is going to allow me to open up towards my soulmate? No. So can you see how much of our injuries are related to these masculine and feminine things? And that causes a repulsion of the two halves. You follow me? So we're this complete soul, and I'm half of that, and that split at incarnation. Now, I've been through in the introductory material what happens, what the condition of this soul is before incarnation, in that I say that it doesn't have any idea who it is. It doesn't have free will, because how can you have free will when you don't even know who you are? You don't know how you can exercise free will. All it knows is to incarnate. It has these instinctual attributes, just like a bird in a nest, right? That at some point in the future is going to fly. Right? And what happens is that when it incarnates, now from that moment, it's now got individualized